Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's Danny Limelight. And I need all of you to subscribe to According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and all other platforms.
What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of talking to somebody who, I mean, if you're in the MMA sphere and you're a content creator, this is the guy that you have to thank for it. If Adam Curry from MTV is the podfather, then Spencer Lazara is the godfather of all MMA content on YouTube. He is from MMA interviews, the one and only Spencer Lazara.
Thanks for the incredible introduction. Definitely exaggerated, but it's been a fun ride in the sport, and we both love the sport. So I wish I was still doing more in a way, but life happens, and always be involved for sure.
And that's the thing, like you being involved again. It's because you're one where you're kind of an outlier, and I love outliers because not only did you create so much great content and foster the careers and the lives of like a Megan Portudo and what have you, but you, much like not like any other podcaster and content creator I know, you actually stepped into the cage and won, like crazy.
Yeah. I'm no fighter, but when you train a long time, I am a competitor, and I played college volleyball, and you kind of want to test yourself, and fighting is definitely a different level of testing yourself when you think about the consequences just being a little bit different than any other sport I played growing up. But it was fun, man, and I'm still training all the time. I don't anticipate competing really again, but Tough Enough was the best place to have done it as well, of course. So, and I'm happy to be doing some matchmaking for Tough Enough now. And it's going good. We're obviously 2020 didn't go good, but we're ready to get things going in 2021. We got a Fight Pass deal, and we'll be on Fight Pass with Pro-Am events as soon as we can. Times are tough. What are you going to do? But we're looking at maybe June, I hope, at the latest. We'll see what happens. See what happens.
No, absolutely. And that's what it seems like here in California too. I just saw like a press release of like Roy Englebright's promotions. It looks like June is kind of the scheduled date for things that hopefully
it's all about the athletic commission at the end of the day, because shows like ours and a lot of these regional shows like Roy's, they can't do shows and they can't afford to do it if it's going to be something crazy expensive where they have all these regulations. So it's like it kind of matters to when things get back to semi-normal, at least in that regard, with the athletic commission's decision.
Yep, it's literally we're all in the palms of their hand. So hopefully that hand is well played. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but, look, hopefully we have some better leadership now, and things get under control. We obviously have a vaccine. Hopefully the distribution gets better, and we can move past this thing.
No, absolutely. Which I love that you kind of you almost christened my next segue, because something new, something of origins, right? But obviously through your time content creating and your pursuit of mixed martial arts, like how did you grow up? Like, did you grow up here in California?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Glendale, which is why I always had ties with Glendale Fighting Club. And obviously I did a lot of Ronda content back in the day. Probably the only guy that ended up doing more was Lazy. Did some awesome stuff with Ronda, of course, another guy that's done more than I have. So, there's a guy who's awesome as far as content creation in the sport that, we don't all get a whole lot of credit, and that's cool. It's not about that. It never was. It was about the fighters and creating the good content. That's what it was about. And people who know, and people who don't, hopefully you grow anyway. And MMA interviews was never really about me. I did a lot of on-camera interviews, but I did more like just I shifted to just content about fighters, and I remember that shift back then when my videos were getting put on the UFC.com website because they didn't have enough content yet, and there was only like one fight a month in the UFC, and we'd be like. I'd be doing these fight features for a fight that's coming up on the prelims, right? Of a guy who's maybe making a UFC debut, even because I do stuff on anybody and everybody, and that would get on UFC.com because but now there's a fight to watch. Like we haven't watched. Oh shoot, I missed that fight. I got to go rewatch that fight from last weekend, or because there's a fight. We got 3 fights UFCs in 1 week coming up, and that's going to be an incredible group of fights. So the sport has just evolved in that sense so much more, and it's good to see more guys getting an opportunity. I wish the pay was better, but it's But where did I digress from? What was the question?
No, I think it's totally concurrent. But your origins, which I want to ask, like, were you before the genesis of MMA interviews? Were you actively training as well?
No, I had graduated with a broadcast journalism degree from CSUN, and I had floundered a few years, and after stopping playing college volleyball at junior college volleyball and finished school, and then I was like, all right, well, there needs to be more content in this sport. Like I was a fan who was like, this is something I could just build because there were no jobs. It was the 2008 recession, and there were no jobs coming out of college. Everything was screwed. They literally were telling us there's no jobs in this field. Don't do it, pretty much, like almost at that point. And I probably should have listened, but I started MMA interviews and I started going to every single gym in California, up and down the West Coast, and a lot of trips to Vegas as well. I mean, I have some old interviews with Forrest Griffin. He makes fun of my hair and calls me racist. It's pretty funny, like. It's super, like he's so that went viral. I remember my brother sending that to me, and that was kind of funny. And early stuff is some of the coolest stuff. Going down to Temecula and interviewing Dan Henderson after his wins over Fedor and Fei Zhao, and like all those amazing wins that he got, like amazing fights. And I would get to go interview him one-on-one and stuff. Just take the drive down, and yeah, it was fun. Then I moved to Vegas. It's been almost like 8 to 10 years, 8 years. I don't know. It's been a long time now since I've lived in Vegas full time. I don't have any family left in LA, so I still go back though. Got a lot of my best friends, but I definitely don't spend the time I used to. A few years ago, even. Vegas is home now, and it's good.
Well, I mean, Vegas is home to the UFC. So, I mean, especially during the time that you made the jump, I mean, it totally makes sense.
Yeah, it was like when I moved, I was coming all the time anyway. And then because I was doing a lot of MMA interview stuff here, and I had friends here, and I would go out and party a lot actually here. Then I started doing nightlife hosting. So that's kind of became my business. And I kind of got away from MMA interviews because I was making money, and MMA interviews made me no money ever. Like, YouTube makes you a few pennies, and it's cool. And I have a pretty built channel, but I don't still produce content. It brings me in some money, monthly, but it's like, it's nothing to live off of. So once I started live off of money, kind of just, okay, MMA takes the back burner, and slowly I started taking some pictures because I could take pictures and they were so much easier. But that's harder to monetize even than the video. So it's like, but I started taking photos for fun, because I have such access to so many guys because if I've been in it a long time. I don't know. I mean, I shifted into helping guys out and doing different things. And, of course, to your point earlier, I started training a few years after starting MMA interviews because it was like, what am I doing not training? I was always an athlete. I started lifting, and I was yoked. I was huge, and I was like, why aren't I training? And then I remember first time I'd rolled with anybody. I think I had already started throwing punches, but first time I rolled with anybody was at Nam Fans Academy, and we did the Ultimate Fighter recaps, and he rolled with me, and there's a video of it on my channel, and I'm yoked and probably like 185 pounds of solid muscle and knew nothing at all. And he just wraps me around like a pretzel and just does all this stuff to me. And it's a good video. And Nam's such a cool, funny guy. I have a lot of love for like that entire cast. Him and Savak, namely, are two of my favorite guys because I got some hilarious videos on those two going back and forth too that I cut up, and that's a really funny comedy video. But yeah, that's how it all kind of, and then started doing a lot of those Ultimate Fighter stuff was fun, and yeah, just once other stuff happened, I got away from that is all, and now I help guys out a lot. I booked some appearances for my friends. Obviously I've done after parties here in Las Vegas as a host for a ton of guys, and yeah, stay super involved and love it, man. Love it. Can't wait for the upcoming fights.
No, absolutely. Well, I gotta ask because it's weird, especially in, I guess, this day and age where, and it's funny because like everybody has, I wouldn't say access, but access to the same, like people can shoot content on their phones, right? So anybody has a phone. So herein lie, I'm trying to get credentials because of stuff that I shot on my phone, right? So and that's essentially like the golden goose. That's the Willy Wonka golden tech kit. If you can get credentials to cover even a event or
when I got credentials, I was one happy dude back in the day. And then they took it all away from all of us, Tracy Lee and me, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back a little bit, man. Once they took the credentials away from us, people that had put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears with no gain into the sport, and not to say that we're owed anything. I mean, it's like it's hard to say that when you're watching the fighters work so hard and they can't pay their phone bills, and you're like, damn, like you don't feel obligated. But it's true. Like I had to move on with my life, though, and I had to make something happen for the future of this guy, So my son, Luca. So it's just, that's really what it came down to for that. And, that was, but getting the credentials, those were some fun times. My first UFC credentials was Alistair versus Brock. And I was the only media, we were all hanging out, all the media members I remember in the MGM, including Ariel, and every single one of them thought Brock was going to win that fight. I was the only one that said, what do you guys see that Brock could win that fight? I was like, you got a huge guy who has way more experience, who's going to be able to stuff his really what he does well, which is just manhandle you with strength. He's going to stuff that because we had monster Overeem then.
Yeah.
And technical. Like he's always been the most technical guy anyway. He's got submissions, and then it's striking. Forget about it. Coming over from mauling every single human on, in K1 and Dream or whatever it was. Like, dude, I knew that I was gonna smash him. That was a fun card. Having that was bittersweet because Strikeforce was ending, right? But then it was like you had UFC access.
Yeah, no, but I mean it's not bad, and especially to get your whistle wet. I mean that's a really good one to get into. Did you feel a sense of like a sense of validation when you finally got those credentials, and what was that atmosphere like being at the venue for that fight?
I mean, that was a great feeling, dude. I mean, you're walking on eggshells, though. The UFC, I always felt like you're walking on eggshells. Maybe I didn't walk the right way and I broke some. I don't know, but maybe not, because Tracy never did anything wrong and she lost hers too and stuff. It was just they were getting rid of media like us, small media. I mean, I was a small operation doing good work, but also reason that another straw broke the camel's back was that I used to do these fight week features with guys. I did this amazing fight week feature with Mark Munoz. It's so inspiring. That man is like 100% the nicest man in MMA ever, if not the nicest man on planet Earth. Like this, he's such an amazing person. And to see him have depression and everything he went through, he got to 265 pounds. I did a fight week feature before the camp, kind of in camp, as he was getting the weight down a little bit more, but he had already lost most of it, honestly. And he was getting to 185 again after a car accident. And he had been depressed and eating and everything. And then we do the Fight Week feature where I do a 4-part series, and I put it out every single day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I had a video each day, about 5 minutes, or probably, you know, maybe a little longer the last one. And he's so inspiring. He's just he's so amazing. And that video ends up with 10,000 views or something. Like probably like 3,000 each part. You're like terrible, like for this thing I put so much time and effort and love into, like an experience that I'll remember forever. I could talk about it with passion, but it bums me out that doesn't get any attention. And then I get a video of Uriah Hall and Mayhem Miller drama, or Khabib and Nick Diaz drama, or just some sort of clickbait stuff. And it has my most viewed videos, right? Like some of my most viewed videos are just being in the right place at the right time, which, look, that's part of the game. Do that. Totally do that and watch that, I guess. But it just bums me out that people don't want to watch like real stuff, like real passion like Mark has in that video, or stuff like that. Just kind of bummed me out. And it made it hard because I had that access that we talked about. So what do you do with that access? Like we see what's his name has done pretty well. Seems like Will Harris, but I don't know how much money Will's making, and how hard it is for him. But he's at least caught some fire with basically what I was doing. I know he's a much better video editor than me. Like I can't video edit for crap, and that's another straw that I hate video editing. And I what am I gonna do? Like I can't pay a video editor. I'm making enough money. So that was kind of the process that happened. I did some amazing stuff with my buddy Dennis Vollmer, who I consider a partner in MMA interviews at this point. He's my Australia guy. He's doing his own thing now in MMA. He has his own podcast, and it's in the Blue Corner podcast. And he helped me like crazy. He's done video editing, amazing quality videos. I can't do that. Like I just don't have. I'm kind of a jack of all trades kind of guy. I'm not I'm not a video editor. It's very tedious work. But most of the stuff, of course, on MMA interviews, I did most of it. But
why do you think this guy goes live? I'm just saying.
Exactly. When I did my few episodes, which I didn't keep up with, of the podcast, I had some great guests on. It didn't get views too, and it was like I know I hadn't been with it for a while, and I know you got to keep going, but man, you got to have things right when you launch. I guess I don't know, and it just bums me out. I got some amazing content in that stuff though, talking with Jaharon and Uriah and Marvin and Bobby Green, Marvin Vettori, and somebody else, Lorenz
Larkin, yeah.
So those are the 5 guys I had on, and it's good stuff, but it's tough for people to keep their they don't have attention span for an hour. So good on you if you do.
No, absolutely. And somebody who has a podcast in his own right, Don McGuire of The Fighter's Voice with Don McGuire, says, "Sup, gentlemen," and it takes years. That's it.
It does. I guess. I mean, you definitely got to put in the work. MMA interviews wasn't built overnight. It's something, not that it ever ended up being anything major, but again, the experiences I've had in sport, I wouldn't trade for anything. And the friendships I've built, including you, buddy, that's how we know each other. Come on, Luca.
That's exactly it. And, I think it's, I don't know. To me, I just think the Rogan, for me, like the Rogan kind of theory, right? Of course, hey, Luca. Of course, he was known, whether it be comedy or MMA or news radio, Fear Factor, UFC, as well as being just a general martial artist, right?
Like Joe Rogan's story is incredible.
Yes.
I tell people Joe Rogan is an A-list celebrity now. He's a guy that we could have hung out with whenever back then, but now you can't. He's like Dana White, like this guy's, But Joe's always been cool. Anytime I said hi to him and stuff, and but he's incredible. It's an incredible story with him, and I'm super happy for him and happy for the sport. That he's grown to that, because I don't know how much UFC he's going to be doing now. Is he done? Is he done? Is it
No,
over?
I mean he's definitely
Doing
doing.
a few.
Yeah, I mean
He'll
he's
do the
doing,
Connor card, I'm sure.
yeah,
Actually,
and the major pay-per-views.
actually, will he? Will he go to Abu Dhabi? I don't know.
Wait, I think no, I don't think he'll do any international. So he's
Yeah,
doing all of
probably.
the non-international pay-per-view cards. So if Connor is in Abu Dhabi, Connor Poirier is in Abu Dhabi, he's not doing that one for sure.
Yeah, they're all over there, right? They're all 3 next week or 2 weeks or whatever it is from now.
Yeah,
They start.
yeah,
They got 3 cards in a row. I saw. I'm stoked, dude. Some good fights.
yeah. Especially this kind of lull, after I think it was like right before
Yeah,
Christmas.
we're used to always having a New Year's card and stuff, and they didn't do any of that. Kind of weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. And Don McGuire says 17 years of my life, it's a creation of the relationships that is the greatest takeaway. Absolutely, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more.
I love this setup, man. It's awesome.
Yes, absolutely. Now I gotta ask, like, do you have a favorite story, whether it be leading up to an interview, the interview itself, or maybe the fight, the culmination of the fight? Like, do you have like a favorite moment, I guess?
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Favorite moment, man. Knocking out Sir Mosley and Tough Enough was a pretty amazing moment, for sure. Winning a fight like that when I have a lot of friends who would just destroy me in a minute. I feel like that never have a knockout like that, and I fight one MMA fight and get a knockout like that. It's like pretty fortunate, I'd put in the work, but to get a knockout like that is lucky. A little bit of a fortunate situation. I don't like the word lucky, fortunate. But otherwise, like I said, some of the moments that stand out, man. I mean, interviewing Dan Henderson one-on-one with GSP was, stuff like that. Anderson Silva stuff. Nick Diaz. I mean, being a part of Nick and Nate's especially fights recently has been awesome. Kind of the rise and watching him succeed. That's been really fulfilling. Also, Masvidal. I've known Jorge a long time, and like to see him finally get his dues. I remember he tweeted something out. He said, "None of you fools in the media were here when I beat KJ Noons, wanted to interview me." And I sent him. I remember texting him a link of me interviewing him outside the hotel because they wouldn't let me do it inside in Dallas after the KJ Noons fight, and I watched it, and it's pretty funny. And I was like, just talking. I was like, man, that was pretty awesome striking or something. He's like, you like that? You enjoyed that or something? So to see him succeed and Nate, like, that's like some awesome stuff, and get paid because that's what you want, You want the guys who have been doing it a long time to end up with something.
No, for sure. Which I mean, it's crazy. I'm not the only one because it was actually right after we saw you at the PI. I came out to Vegas with Amy Kaplan and Blake Troop, and then the following night, I believe, was the Ultimate Fighter finale, and I actually got kicked out of the Palms for interviewing Tim Means. So I'm not the only one. I feel good.
Yeah, you got to do it. You got to do them in a room in the casinos. They won't want you doing that, filming at all in the casinos. So, yeah, they don't let you do that. And, you got to just think about where you're doing them, I guess. But I used to go to their rooms usually when I would meet guys up in a hotel, stuff like that. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know about other favorite moments, but I'm sure I could go on and on about stuff.
Yeah, no, and Don McGuire points out that Spencer, you were a part of the beginning of the Diaz brothers. I met you when I was doing their pictures and apparel. So
yeah, I remember Jason Manley, San Diego stuff when Nick was fighting Daly. I mean, I remember the first times talking to Nick and back in the first KJ Noons stuff, and The Cyborg fight was a good one. Interviewing Nick, I mean, but I really got really close with Nick in Vegas because he would come here all the time, and I was hosting, and he'd end up at my tables a lot, and like, having a good time together. So that would end up, and my clients would love that too, and he'd be wanting a good time. So and he'd be like, "I'm the best host ever. I just brought Nick Diaz to the table." Like, these guys have a story for their bachelor party for like the rest of their life. So, it works out. It works out for everybody. And they're great dudes. I hope he makes his comeback happen here. I suspect he will. And if there's anybody that can perform after such a long layoff, it's Nick, because he's just got that sheer will that we see Nate win with too, and been winning with. He might lose, but you're gonna be in for a dogfight too, regardless.
Yeah, and I hope they pull up like 3 Brinks trucks out there to Stockton for that. I mean, because
for Nick deserves to get paid, right? It's like Nate's had his money, he's getting paid. He's stayed active, which is good. But the Connor stuff is what put him over. Obviously, the hump beating Connor, and then it's a wrap. And he got the stardom that they tried to keep him from, weirdly to me, for a while. Like Nick kind of had happened too, but Nick still broke into that stardom. And most casual fans, they don't really know Nick, and they know Nate, right? Because that's how much the sport has gone and jump to the mainstream, that most people have never even seen Nick fight unless they've gone to search for it. They never saw it. Like, they weren't watching the sport when it happened.
Yep.
Not seriously to watch him versus Condit or him versus Gomi or something awesome like that.
Oh man, yeah, Diaz versus Gomi. Oh, I got goosebumps. I mean,
right, Dave. I always give love to my buddy, Mike Ventanilla. Guy I grew up with in Glendale, and was always so good to me. And he's the one who showed me Pride when I was 18. And it was like, when I was a kid, I guess, you kind of like Hulk Hogan and stuff. And it was like that kind of thing. And you're like, this is kind of lame, though. At least for me, it's not real. Yeah, I know you like the wrestling. But for me, I was kind of like looking for something else, right? And then it was like, at 18, when he showed me Pride, I think, I was like, whoa, like, this is crazy. And became a fan instantly, and we would just watch different fights together. And so when I got into all this, and credentials and everything like that, one time I brought him with my cameraman to a UFC, actually, which was pretty awesome to do. And yeah, I always pump him up. Like, if he's ever there and there's fighters there, I'm like, this is a dude that literally told me, like, showed me fighting, So I always give love to him, and for that, because it's definitely changed the course of my life, Yeah,
and that's the thing. When I guess I like to call it the pop culture lexicon. When they are from the outside looking in, they're just like, oh, the brutality, it's a blood sport, human cockfighting, all of that jazz and whatever.
That sure changed, though, luckily.
Yeah, but it's just like the quality of people that you meet through this. It's just like you get to see the best and the worst of people, and you know where you stand.
Very real world. But I think it does take such a mentally tough thing to go through a fight camp and then to fight another trained, just absolute beast. Like, I train with a lot of amazing fighters now, but dude, I'm nothing. Like, they can just, and it's like, they're just nice to me. I'm so fortunate for that, because other guys like me who are probably on my level, they go into some of these gyms, they're just gonna get blasted and like beat up worse. I'm like lucky I don't, there's probably some guys who still want to punch me pretty hard though. But, anyway.
Oh, that's great. I try not to be. I'm a
political guy, so the politics, I think, gets a rise out of some of the guys. There's a lot of Trumpers in the sport, and as fighters, as well as, of course, the higher ups are all Trumpers, but for other different reasons, kind of, I guess. So
yeah,
I think, speaking of that, Donald Trump, I think, just conceded.
Wow.
On Twitter.
Wait, this might be the first bit of breaking news that I've probably ever done. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say it a few minutes ago.
The honor of my lifetime.
This has been the honor of my lifetime.
My wonderful supporters. I know you are.
Yeah, he conceded.
Wow.
They probably said we're going to impeach you if you don't concede.
I mean, I guess.
I'm shocked that he did it. I mean, he's still going to cry fraud later. I know he is. Like, no matter what, he's always going to cry fraud. But that's interesting.
So
It's a crazy time, right, for our country, dude.
I mean, there's always been crazier times. You look at like the '60s. You look at like there's seminal moments.
No, man, we were dealing with a guy like Trump and a global pandemic at the same time. Like,
I mean,
storming the Capitol, that hasn't happened since 1812. Despite all the '60s civil rights movement and everything else, they never did anything like that.
I mean,
but hey, you know, it's easy to storm the Capitol when they put the National Guard out for a bunch of weed smokers, Black Lives Matter protest in Hollywood. They bring the National Guard, but you know the Trumpers come to storm the Capitol, and
I mean that's
everybody's parting like the Red Sea or something. There's like 20 cops and there's the thousands of people. Like, hey, what the hell happened? I'm just glad they didn't string up Nancy Pelosi.
I mean, that could have happened. I mean, I think
what would have happened? I don't know what would have happened. I'm sorry to go politics, but we can leave.
I mean, but that's the thing. Everything is in play. I think my son showed me a meme, and it was just like, oh, you know, like the aliens to come down, and they're like, no, we're good. Like, you know, we're good on you guys. We'll go to Pluto. We'll go to Jupiter or Neptune or something. You know.
Yeah. Elon became the richest man alive today, and he said half his money is going to put us in space in case something was to happen to Earth, which I just think he's so awesome. But I'm a big Tesla bull, so
shout out to that because I did exactly what you said yesterday. So let's do that. All of the shares in one, a couple shares in the other. Yeah. Yeah, long. I mean, after that stock split, come on.
Oh yeah, I'm long on Tesla, and I mean I've short on a little bit on margins. I've done some short trades, but I'm long on Tesla. And today was another like outrageous day, just outrageous. I can't even. I didn't even expect this. Like I expected big growth still this year. I did, but I didn't know it was going to happen in the first week of the year. You know, like after everything that's happened, this is a hell of a run, dude.
It is a hell of a run.
Almost scary.
Yes, absolutely. Blake Hermano goes, hey man, what's up with the pizza emojis? Which speaking of pizza emojis, I picked up a crap ton of I guess sundial growth stock. So you know, sundial growth and
I'm gonna be into weed personally. I would want to be in it in a company that's not an actual flower or like dispensary or like that. I would like to be in a company like that that's making equipment. I that's, you know what I mean? Like being like that's kind of what I like. Or gosh, even solar at this point, because that's how you're going to get your electricity for this stuff. Again, I'm huge on renewable energy in general. I'm huge on Tesla, so I'm huge on all that stuff. But yeah, I grow eyes. There's the GRWG my buddy told me about. I've been washing it and that popped. I mean, everything weed popped. I just wouldn't be in it long because the Democrats won. So of course they're waiting for legalization. It might pop again when they legalize it. So if you really believe in that, I think I could see you holding at least then. But I personally wouldn't be long on it. And some of the reason is just that like I don't trust these companies, bro. Like I don't know what they're doing. They could be a scam. Like Nikola was a scam. Like I don't. They could just be taking your money, suck all the money out, and just like close the company. I don't know, dude. It's just funnel the money out. It doesn't sit well with me in the weed world. So I don't recommend it to my people I give any advice to.
Well, the thing is, I got burnt by Genius Brands. I was like, oh, Stan Lee, Arnold Schwarzenegger signed on $8 a share. This is to the moon. And it's trading about $150 now. So luckily I got out and, you know.
Sometimes you got to cut your losses, man. I had bought a little bit. I had been watching QuantumScape, and it was up to all $130, and then it went down under 100, and I was like, yeah, I'll buy a little, and I bought a little, and then it dropped a little more. I bought a little. Then the next morning I woke up and it was like $47, and I was like, what the hell just happened? It's back to like 63 or something. So I'm fine. I didn't put that much, but it was like This was something that I literally wanted to short because it went too high, and I ended up making a decision to buy it. Like, that's not what you want to do. Had I waited, though, 2 more days and just not paid attention and just held my guns, actually, it would have dropped to 47. I would have gotten in and I'd be up massively at $63 like that. So those are where you want to find these companies that are just like, you know, sometimes, but you buy the dips in general. That's obvious, and sell high and buy low. But yeah, the point was the losses happen, you know, and you just got to eat them sometimes. And then if you put your money in something else that makes money, then you're good. That's what happened to me with COVID and Tesla a little bit. So
I would track that as a win. That's a notch in the win column for sure. Which I want to get into that's Sir Mosley fight, man. How did that come out? Because like I did this because I knew, like you mentioned, Savant Young.
did you fight?
No, I trained at Fight Academy for a bit.
Where'd you go?
I grew up in Inglewood, and I guess I live in Glendale. I'm right off of San Fernando.
Right now?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
My neck of the woods.
Yeah, like right.
I'm so lucky, dude. What a great place to live.
Right by the right behind the Sealy building. That's where the Casa de los Woods is.
Sick. But man, I miss it, dude. Like, what a blessing to live there. Like, my life has gotten better by moving, but like don't get it twisted, man. What a great city, Glendale in general, especially. It's so safe and central. Like, growing up with the Dodgers and the Lakers, and you know, Vince Scully and Chick Hearn, as somebody who loved sports and like wanted to do this as a kid. Like, that's also why I did it. Like, with MMA interviews, I wanted to do this as a child. And honestly, like, not to toot my own horn, but I'll be watching a game and I will say 5 things before and I'm not talking about just MMA. Like, I'm talking about football or basketball or whatever. I've just been a student of all these games since I was a child. So growing up in LA helped that. I mean, having Chick and Stu and Vince Scully. Oh man, dude, what a group to listen to. But as far as the fight goes, with Sir Mosley, that came about because I watched him fight, and I was thinking, and Jeff would always tell me, you should fight, you know, like I would go to the support Tough Enough, do something for him, maybe with video or something, and then I saw Sir Mosley fight and win by, I think, guillotine choke it was. And I said to Jeff, I'll fight that guy in your next fight, in your next card. He said, okay. And he made it happen. And that's how it happened. I kind of saw the guy didn't have great ground game, even though he won by guillotine choke. And I don't have great ground game. I don't have great anything, but I really don't have great ground game. So I was like, cool, he can't like just hold me down and wrestle me down and like ground and pound me. So that's like good, at least, you know, because that's where I don't want to be. I didn't want to be on my back getting ground and pounded by a wrestler or something, right? Or just be on my back in general. But I could get submitted from the top. At least maybe it won't hurt, you know. But, but yeah, he was super strong, dude. He tried to guillotine me, but I knew he liked that, and I just went to side mount, took him down, went to side mount in the first round, got out and cracked him and hit him with some good shots. Then he got another guillotine try. I think I took him down again, and then sat there kind of. It's 2-minute round, so the round ended with me in side control, kind of finally figuring out, like, oh, I can knee him in the side. I should probably do that, right? Or knee on belly. I should have done. There's a lot of things I could have done. A Von Flute choke, but anyway, the round ended, and I thought I won it, and I was feeling good, dude. I looked tired in the video, but honestly, I was very mentally confident in the training I had done with Anthony and Chidi and Jaquani at One Kicks mostly, and my gym back in Cali a little bit, and even in Hawaii, I trained with Max Holloway and all the guys in Hawaii for that fight. My brother had his wedding, so I was there for like a week or 9 days, I want to say. So it was a long time, and I trained a bunch. I think Nick Newell happened to be out there too a little bit, and he came to train with us. So I really think those guys, I put them on my banner, And so I felt good. And then second round starts, and I land a couple of spammed left hands, and I land like two of them kind of, and one good one actually. We reset, and then I'm just feeling confident, and he spun around like a dummy, which he kind of had a tendency to just weirdly spin around, and I just kind of back up, and then he's like, oh crap, and then this perfect punch as he spun into it, didn't see it, and literally like unconscious for like minutes. Like it was kind of almost getting scary.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was just a crazy knockout, walk off, one punch knockout. And now I'm doing the matchmaking for Tough Enough, which is even cooler to me because I'm going to, especially now we're on Fight Pass, I get to matchmake these pro fights. Like, wow, what an honor. And I can't wait. The one card I matchmake for was already partly built, and I kind of filled it in last March. And then the card got canceled after weigh-ins. They let us do weigh-ins, then they canceled us, which was right when COVID happened in March. That sucked. So I haven't even had any of my fights I made happen yet. I had to wait a year to make a fight that actually gonna happen. So we'll get most of those guys back on cards, and we'll make some cool pro fights, and we'll get the ball rolling as soon as possible with that. And I can't wait, man. Tough Enough on Fight Pass.
No, it's incredible, and shout out to the Tough Enough crew out there in Vegas, is holding it down. Rona and Harvey, and the Mayer brothers, obviously.
Justin.
Yes, absolutely. They're just incredible people with an incredible.
Make sure you're out for when we have our first comeback card. Make sure you're out for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this time, hopefully, won't be coming out of. So the crazy thing about it is, the last time I saw you at PI was with Amy Kaplan and Blake Troop.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I want to say right after that, Blake and I got in a crash.
I remember that.
Yes.
Oh my God. Was it kind of bad too?
Yes, absolutely. It was T-boned, and we were.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was right after that.
Yeah, and Blake was in a neck brace and everything, right?
Oh, I had one. I had one.
You had one too.
Yeah.
Was it a long recovery?
I mean, luckily I didn't have anything like long-term effects, but my head actually spiderwebbed the windshield of the passenger side. My Fijian head. I got to thank my mom's Melanesian genes that I got the hard coconut.
I never wish a bad wreck on anybody, man. It's such a crazy thing at a decently high speed to like experience that, like a real wreck. I don't wish that on anybody, dude. And we know how dangerous it can be.
No, absolutely.
And I love Tesla. They're incredibly safe. But shameless plug. But
there you go.
But I had an accident going to Extreme too, like that. But I T-boned them.
Oh.
She pulled out in front of me, and I turned a little, but I T-boned her. And same thing, she hit her head, and she was concussed, bro. She was like, "Whoa, what happened?" And there was a baby in the back. The baby was fine. Crying, but I think the baby was fine. Everyone was fine. Or at least one of them, it took some recovery. I promise you. Even wearing seatbelts, like it was bad, and it's all their fault. She pulled right in front of me. Young girl, didn't even have a license, I want to say. And I was actually pretty good. I had some bruising and some neck issues. I went to therapy and got paid.
Yeah, that happened too. On our
got to. I mean, you got to. You got to go get the therapy. You got to capitalize on making your body better through the trauma that you just had. Like, because even when you think like that wasn't that bad or I'm okay, like sometimes you're not quite okay, dude. Like, I think especially training and stuff, you get in this mode of like, oh, when I used to train super duper hard, sometimes I wouldn't even know how sore and messed up like I was because you just get used to it. Well, it's the same type of thing can be with this stuff, especially if you're masking it with some painkillers or something. No bueno.
Yeah, no. Well, and this is just, Blake Troop to the umpteenth degree. As I'm getting put in the ambulance, he goes, and because he couldn't go in an ambulance, he had his dog with us, so He couldn't get in the
Yeah,
ambulance
we're
with the
gonna
dog, right? So he goes to me and goes, ha ha ha, now you know what it feels like to be in a fight. I'm like, okay, right on.
He's such a maniac, this guy. Dude.
Yes.
He's not always gonna make sense, but I love Blake. What a maniac. What an interesting guy. Like he's the guy I had moved away, I guess, when he kind of started, like I didn't know who he was when I lived in Cali. So like, but I had him on Facebook, and that's kind of how we met. I think we probably butted heads a little bit, and then we started chatting, and we got along because he's hilarious. And then
Yes.
that was the first time I met him. Was that day at the PI in person? I mean.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know him, and I'm pretty sure I hadn't met him in person yet. I know I saw him recently at the Bellator, but this was way before that. This was a while back.
Yeah.
What, 2 years ago? What was that? A year and a half?
Yeah, that had to be. That was December 1st, 2018.
Oh, 3 years ago. Oh,
Yeah.
two, little over 2 years.
Little over 2 years. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the because the Ultimate Fighter finale was the last day of November, and then the crash was the following day.
Crazy.
And that the craziest thing, and Amy was on the podcast.
Were you coming back from Cali, or what were you doing?
So basically, what happened was, we went out there with Amy, and she was gonna interview Justine Kish. So we just came for the ride and what have you, right? And we basically all met up in Orange County. And then we rented a car to go to Vegas. Now it was a torrential downpour. This was like a tsunami in the desert. And
when it rains, it pours out here for sure.
Yeah, and Amy didn't feel comfortable driving in the rain. So Blake takes the wheel. Right around Xerxes, I literally, out of my fetal position, was like, "Hey, Amy, I want you to know, I'm gonna get an Uber back to LA." I didn't care because Blake, he doesn't drive, he aims. Destination, he's aiming for it. That's it, right? So we made it through that, like darting, it was like a
He's driving like a maniac.
Chevy H something, whatever, just a tin can of a car, and like the dang speedometer and whatever, it was already redlined. It was like through the whole way through, like whatever, through the rain, whatever. I could feel the rain on my on the roof, because it's just, not only was it raining hard, but the roof, there wasn't too much to it either. So yeah, so survived all of that. Came back, dropped Amy off in OC, and then it was like 5 a.m. that day. I think it was like a Saturday morning, December 1st. And Blake was like, "You know what? Tell your wife, because my wife is going to come get me from Blake's house. It's 5 a.m. Why don't you just bunk it on my couch, call your wife up, and then I'll take you back to Glendale." And and it's that getting back up and whatever after the hellacious tour to get to Vegas. Literally, Blake.
This crazy guy gets you all the way back from Vegas, but then he can't take you to Glendale safely. Just kidding.
Well, that's the thing. I guess the people on Slauson, as we were coming back up from the South Bay, they were just like, okay. And it was just kids that had borrowed their dad's car and whatever. Like, we just inched out for the light had just turned green, inched into the intersection, bam, and that's all I remember. And we got like a tin can across like
what car does he have?
Well, I think it was like, oh man, I don't even know. Maybe that's the concussion talking. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, at least it wasn't the tin can. You might have died.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Jesus.
So luckily that happened. We're both safe. And actually, the way that I found out about the pandemic was, I was actually headed to the Lights Out Extreme Fighting weigh-ins, where he was supposed to fight Mike Quintero for the heavyweight title on Friday the 13th. So the 12th, they had the weigh-ins at Commerce Casino, and from away to Glendale to the Commerce Casino, at some point, they canceled the whole thing. That's when the CSAC thing went down, because I went to Commerce Casino. I was like, there's no cage. There's no fighters.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Didn't get the memos. Nobody sent you the memo, dude.
No, I guess I'm not that high up. It's cool.
Oh, dude.
Now, one thing I want to ask, right? Coming out of that Sir Mosley fight, did you have a feeling of accomplishment? Because I mean, to me, I took that as a win. I took that as like,
Oh yeah, it was a great accomplishment, and I got a lot of love from everybody. And now the joke, of course, is like you said, it's like the joke is I'm undefeated with all knockouts, I guess, in MMA, greatest ever. No, I mean I never had an opportunity worth fighting for again. I really wanted to fight Aaron True. Remember him?
yes,
Really wanted to fight him. There's a couple instances and funny stories with him, but he would never even spar me. He was very scared, but he would talk crap because that's Aaron. But he's funny.
yes.
I like Aaron. But I remember him fighting tough enough, and that's part of what made me like I want to do this, you know. And I would have made my first fight him, but he wouldn't have done it. So I fought a guy with experience, right, more than me. But to me, I'm like even though I've never fought MMA, I have trained with the best guys, and even though I haven't done much ground, this guy's ground's not that good. You know what I mean? So you think positive, and I'm like my striking's better, and not that I'm crazy, but I'm an awkward southpaw, and I've trained enough now to have a few tricks up my sleeve, you know. And I hit the heavy bag a lot when I first started because I didn't want to bug anybody. Because I would go film with guys or whatever, and they'd be like, "Oh, I want to get a sweat out here at Rain Training Center or somewhere before I go back home or whatever, just real quick at least. Just I'm an athlete, dude. I love it. I love the sweat. It makes you feel good." So I would hit the bag, and so much hitting the bag. I used to lift and then hit the bag every single day, 8 rounds, and that's how I developed like better power. I think I think I have decent power for being a skinny little nothing. I think I hit pretty hard, honestly. And I hope, you know, maybe it was just fortunate and the guy flipped around, maybe not. But I got a left kick and a decent left hand. That's about it.
Training meets opportunity, and that was there.
Totally. That's what it is. That's life, right? Like, so that's why I use the word fortunate, not lucky. Well, it wasn't lucky. I trained for that. I was confident in the moment. I did a perfect thing, like, and that's why I try not to be negative on anybody in the sport. I try to always, as a journalist, never be negative, right? I stayed away from the steroid stories when steroids were running rampant, and stayed away from a lot of the negativity, and it served me well. It served me well a lot, I think, and it's the same way with this, you know.
No, 100%, 100%. Now, in terms of like, obviously, you know, we're 10 years removed from, you know, the very first piece of content that you put out. Do you have like this idea of the long-term reverberation of what MMA interviews that channel was?
I mean, look, I don't look at it like that at all. I look at my friends and think, man, these guys are pioneers. Like, these guys are still pioneers of the sport. And I think to myself, damn, I'm getting older now, and like all my friends are gonna retire, and I'm not gonna know any of the new guys. That's gonna suck. I'm gonna be like, my son's gonna be hanging out and training with some really dope guys, and they used to be dope, but they're gonna be old. They're not gonna be dope anymore unless they have kids or something. So I laugh at thinking that, like, but I think about their legacies. I just don't think about it. My legacy. I didn't do anything in the sport. I'm a lucky recipient of what the sport had to offer, and being behind the scenes and seeing what these guys go through, and like what goes into winning titles, you know, in the UFC, seeing guys grow, seeing a guy like seeing the talent in TJ Dillashaw before like anybody thought TJ Dillashaw would be a champion in the UFC. Those are the kind of things that give me myself like a little pat on the back, like, because I literally told him, like, dude, you're gonna be a champion. Like, this is right after the Ultimate Fighter. I could just see it. I actually, the first time was at King's. I filmed with him. Then I did something. He was back helping coach the Ultimate Fighter as an assistant, I think.
Yes.
And that's when I told him, you're going to be a champion. That was after the first time I did the film with them out at King's. I could just see this guy sparring in there. Like, this guy's got something. Like, he's got a dog in him. And then Mark would talk about. I talked to Mark about him because Mark knew him from wrestling, and he was like, dude, he was destined to fight. He's like, he would fight in a wrestling class. He would start fighting. So he was like, he was going to be a fighter and a good one. And a guy like that, or watching Edmund Shabazian grow up from training with me at 13 years old, and now the dude's not beating almost everybody. You know, he lost his last one to Derek Brunson, who's a homie and a good dude. But Edmund is my guy. Like, that's like my little bro, and I would have to man strength him. I didn't know much either training at that time. I was still learning anything, and I'd have to man strength him, or he'd triangle me, or he'd armbar me, or something. He was 13 years old, and we'd roll and we'd spar, and then he turned 15 and it was over. Like, I didn't even want to spar anymore. Like, Leon was already kind of there, his older brother, because he's so tall and he's a little older. Like, and he's good too. He lost to Phil Rowe on the Contender, but he's young and he'll probably make it to the show at least. But Edmund's the golden boy, and I hope they both succeed and win a lot of fights. Hopefully a title. That's a cool story to me right there. Like, thinking about some of the stuff.
That's it. I mean, Glendale represent, you know?
No doubt. I mean, I grew up with all Armenians. Like, I'm an Armenian in a way. Honorary Armenian, I say. I train with Gokor now out here, who's from North Hollywood, and originally kind of, and that's who my gym is out here. So I love it. You know, small little gym, and we do our thing, and it's good. Learning some jiu-jitsu now, a little bit.
Hey, there you go. A little bit goes a long way, as they say.
It does.
Yeah. But, I mean, obviously, there have been so many people that personally and professionally were so instrumental in your career, your successes, both doing the VIP stuff as well as the MMA stuff. So let's go ahead and get some shout-outs out of the way, my man.
Man, every fighter that let me come and film them. I mean, it was a two-way street. Like, when I first started, these guys wanted it. There are guys who I didn't even know sometimes would get, like, I think a little butthurt that they felt like I ignored them. I mean, dude, I was just out trying to do what I could do, and people who asked got fed. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, closed mouths don't get fed kind of thing. And I smoothed that over and made sure to do videos with everybody I could. I interviewed anybody and everybody, man, like on the regional circuit, and I thanked them all. You know, thanks even Ronda Rousey, who, like, probably doesn't really like me anymore much, but thank her for all the, like, access I got and you know, of an Olympic athlete. She's still the only amateur fighter, besides, I guess, Edmund as a kid, that I've ever interviewed. Amateurs is Ronda Rousey, because everybody, she was just a big deal even as an amateur before she even fought. And then I filmed her first pro fight, also from the cage, on top of the cage. So that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's those moments. My goodness.
Yeah.
Now, for people to find out what you're up to and everything that you're doing, where's the best place that people can reach out to you on social media, my man?
Yeah, I mean, I have Instagram, Spencer Lazara, MMA interviews, Vegas bass fishing. I'm a big fisherman now. That's my big hobby now that I started doing. I got a Phoenix bass boat, and it's fast and fun to drive, and it's fun to catch some big smallmouth out here at Lake Mojave and Lake Mead. But so yeah, you can follow that. And I got a channel, Real Bassin, for that. I do a little bit of like reviews and different fishing technique videos and a bunch of different stuff with that. And it's just kind of a fun thing for me. It's not actually trying to, like, you know, do much. But if you follow me there, I'll sub you back on here with that one too. And then I already did from the MMA interviews because I saw you subbed that one. And I don't really use Twitter. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Freestyle MMA. Come check us out. Starting a lithium battery company, Eternal Lithium. It's kind of like marine oriented, with the kind of goes into the fishing thing. So that's actually happening. So that's something I'm working on. other than that, you need a table. Also, once COVID's done, you want to come party in Vegas, I'm your man. So you get in touch with me and exclusive Vegas VIP for all that stuff. That's where I can really help take care of my friends and my people, especially the MMA people, and save money to have a really, ball on a budget experience in Vegas.
I love it. And again, Spencer, I just wholeheartedly thank you for what you've done for guys like me, whether you knew that you were influencing in a day and age of influencers, you influence this guy to the umpteenth degree. And I can't thank you enough.
Man, that's an honor for me to hear, and keep it going with this stuff. And you ever need anybody to help getting somebody on or anything like that, give me a shout. And yeah, it's a pleasure, bro. Thanks.
The pleasure's all mine. And thank you to your wonderful family for sparing you with us here. And thank you guys for watching us here at According to Woods. And if you guys haven't already done so, warmly encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to the According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And I mean, Spencer, you're subscribed, right?
Yeah, got it. Support your friends, man. Whatever it is, you should be supporting people. Like, don't be a negative Nancy. Don't be a Karen. Like, sub, like, share. Like, don't be a hater.
Don't be a hater at all. A little bit goes a long way. But Spencer, I can't thank you enough. Thank you guys for watching us here. And if you don't take my word for it or Spencer Lazara's word for it to subscribe, well, here's